So yesterday I accidentally baited half of Siege TikTok into thinking that Doc was going to lose his Acog by sharing a new concept I created for a change to Doc that would overall buff him as a healer and sort of remove that aggressive swing everything playstyle that everyone's worst solo queue teammate is always insta-locking him for. And with it being TikTok, sometimes you have some very interesting responses, but something that really surprised me is that quite a majority of people who saw this post actually really liked the idea of this and was really hoping that it was real. So I thought I should share this Doc concept with you, and we can see if you agree with it or not. So the big issue I have with Doc isn't that he's necessarily overpowered. I don't think he's OP at all. I just think that Doc is simply in the wrong role. Right now, he is in a very weird situation where he is mainly picked as an aggressive operator. And I know not everyone does that. I know there are genuine Doc players who want to be healers out there, and I hear you. That's why I want this change to come, because this is going to help you even more. But a lot of people simply just play Doc because he can be aggressive with the Acog, and thanks to his self-healing ability, it allows him to do this aggressive playstyle with minimal consequences as long as he doesn't get hit in the head. And don't get me wrong, I don't think aggressive playstyles are a bad thing for defense, and I don't think we should try and get rid of that completely, because you'll never get rid of that. But I just don't think that Doc, a healer, should be the one doing that. I think we should focus on other operators and improving them to be the more aggressive, swing everything roamers, such as, Oryx, Cav, Vigil, without necessarily giving them Acog either. And as someone like myself who likes to see operators' gadgets be the fullest potential they can be, I truly think that Doc is in a very limiting spot. I think the fact that he is a 1-speed due to the Acog sort of holding him back for that limits his overall capabilities as a healer. So that is why we came up with the concept for the following change. Firstly, Doc would lose the Acog, as this would then allow us to buff another aspect of him, and that would be his speed. We will never get a version of Doc where he is faster for as long as he has the Acog. So I think removing the Acog and making Doc a 3-speed up from a 1-speed allows him to be a more hands-on healer, going out to assist teammates who are roaming to heal them, running between sites. And since, compared to Thunderbird, Doc's ability to heal is more traversal based rather than walking into a Kona station, which is typically in sight. So I think giving Doc the ability to traverse the map at 3 speed, being able to go and reinforce a roamer or someone who is extended and you can return to site quite fast as well, being that dedicated healer for them, I think that would be a really good position to put him in. And to reinforce his healing role, we would also give him another stim pistol shot as well, meaning that he can heal his teammates or himself 4 times up from 3. I know you may be sitting there saying, okay, if you make Doc a 3-speed, although he may lose the Acog, he can still be quite aggressive because he can just then roam really fast, swing everything, and then heal himself to full HP. Well, we also proposed a little change to the self-healing ability as well. Now, this wouldn't affect his healing of other operators. If he would stim his fellow teammate, it would still work as it currently does. However, let's say that Doc has built up a bit of an immunity to his stim shot. When Doc now heals himself, instead of it going instantly to full HP like it currently does and like what it does to his teammates, it will act more like Thunderbird's Kona station, where it will eventually take him back to full HP, but is more of a slower, gradual process. And similar to Thunderbird's Kona station, if you get shot during this process, and you'll no longer be healing unless you stim yourself again. This still allows Doc to heal himself and bring himself back to full HP, just like he currently can, but in a way that takes a bit more time, a lot more safety, and downplays his aggressive playstyle which he currently has. And again, this is an overall buff for Doc. This will improve Doc. But some people will see this as a nerf because he'll no longer have the Acog, which I think is a very bad mindset for balancing, especially for a defender, because if he can overall do more with his gadget, with his capabilities, and with his role, that is, by all means, a large improvement to the operator. And I just want to say something as well to people. You're not bad at the game. You don't need the Acog to be good. I think a lot of people really rely on the Acog to sort of measure their skill, because I don't want to call you bad because you use an Acog or you like relying on Acogs. I don't want to call you a bad player for that. I just think that you don't understand your potential as a player because you're relying on the Acog to be a bit more aggressive rather than playing into other strengths you may have. And listen, I get it, sometimes oftentimes you may be a solo queue player, you may only want to rely on yourself. I understand what it can be like. I don't personally play solo queue for reasons like that because I think it is a very boring playstyle that you get forced into and I simply don't enjoy it. But I do understand from a solo queue aspect, you can pick an operator like Doc, the Acog does assist you, the healing does assist you, you can rely on yourself. I get it, you're not a bad player for that, you simply got to do what you got to do when you're not in a coordinated team. I understand. And although I think Doc is currently in the wrong role for this stuff, it doesn't mean that that role is necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think that Doc should be in it, and I think we should focus on making some other operators more prominent in that role, for example. Like, if we want to have defenders that will be the ones playing aggro, who will be the ones swinging quite a lot, then we should look at ways of improving their ways of doing that, rather than letting a healing operator of an Acog take that responsibility. Operators such as Vigil, Oryx, and Kivera, who are heavy roamers, should all be significantly improved to assist a playstyle like this. That doesn't mean give them the Acog, but it means looking into other parts of their gadget and kit to allow people to play this playstyle, because right now, I don't blame people for playing Doc instead of these operators to achieve the same thing with a lot more ease. I definitely think we should start promoting and buffing operators, like I'm saying, these roaming operators like Solace or Oryx, and putting them in a nice spot where they can be aggressive if they need to, but they can also be heavily punished by the attacking team for doing so as well. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and defense does have to play aggressive to stop an attacking push, but I just don't think Doc, a healer, should be one of those operators. And look, we talked about this in the whole Acog on defense video, where if Doc loses the Acog, it will then go into another operator and they'll start to play the more aggressive role as well. I do think that Doc himself does complement this role the best because he can self-heal. So even if Rook becomes the next big thing that people run an Acog for, I don't think he'll be as aggressive as Doc because he can't heal himself. I mean, technically, he can revive himself using his Rook armor, but it's not the same as a Doc stim, and it definitely isn't as aggressive. I will say I would rather see a Rook swinging everything than a Doc swinging everything. But at the end of the day, I also think that fundamentally Rook is in his wrong position as well. I find Rook a very shallow operator, and honestly, I wouldn't even be against a remaster if they could just expand on Rook even more. With him being the sort of hardline support with armor, I think it could be really cool to maybe reinforce him a little bit, give him a better loadout, maybe even like an LMG, keep him as a 1-speed, give him a deployable shield, and give him something cool, like maybe he can reinforce walls faster or something. Like, I would love to see Rook be a really true backbone operator that you truly want to stay in sight with, you truly don't want to roam with, rather than just him spawning in the prep phase, dumping his armor, and going away to spawn peek. I do think there is a good version of Rook out there. When we will see it, if ever, I don't know. But in my opinion, I think we can see a good version of Doc on the horizon, and it seems like a lot of people agreed with it. If you genuinely told me that I made a TikTok saying that they should remove the Acog from Doc, and a majority of people in the comments would agree with me, I would have never believed you. That genuinely blew my mind that a lot of people are actually open to that concept. And I do think that more and more players are realizing that simply having an Acog doesn't necessarily make the operator strong, and if losing the Acog results in a massive improvement of other aspects of the operator, it may be a very worthy trade. But fundamentally, you may disagree with how you want this game to be balanced. I would much rather have a version of Doc which can heal more people and do it in a faster, safer way than a version of Doc which is more frag orientated. I don't think that necessarily makes my opinion or your opinion wrong. I just think that means we have very different ways in which we would want to balance this game, with mine being more gadget orientated and role based and yours being more gun based. Now, Ubisoft of recently have been really leaning more into the gadget first, which still of course having good weapons, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of times when you do this debate, people think that you want like guns completely nerfed and you want everyone to rely on gadgets, which isn't the case at all. A balance in philosophy, which I stand by, and I believe Ubisoft stand by recently as well, is that an operator's gun must also complement their gadget. Scopos, for example, her weapon is very strong and it complements her role as a roamer and a lurker and a lot of things which Scopos does. I think Scopos plays a role which we can't even describe because I just don't think any other operator can do close to what a thing that Scopos can do, so I don't even know what role we would give Scopos, honestly. But regardless of how good an operator's gadget may be, if they have a bad weapon, they're probably going to be a bad operator. And vice versa. If an operator has a great weapon, but their gadget sucks, then they're not going to be that great. So as long as the two sides can go hand in hand, you are going to result in a good operator. But with Doc, I feel there is a little bit of a weird disconnect where instead of his gun being used to reinforce his gadget's capability of being a healer. I think his gadget is being used to reinforce his aggressiveness as a fragger. And at the end of the day, regardless of what side of the opinion you are on, we all just want Doc to be the best he can be. Nobody wants Doc to be useless. Nobody wants Doc to be unplayable. I don't want that for any operator. I think an operator they went too far with when it comes to nerfing was Solace. I thought she was fine after the initial nerf where they removed her from the prep phase. None of us want an operator to be useless. We just want Doc, for example, to be balanced a little bit differently. But yeah, be sure to let me know your thoughts about this concept. Are you on the side which thinks this is something that should come to Doc, or do you prefer him being an aggressive Acog player fragger? Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're new. I shall catch you on the next one. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.